Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. My name is Evictus, and today we're going to talk about Gundam Evolution. The topic is going to be focused on ranked in the esports scene. So before we really dive into that and really start talking about the nitty gritty of what ranked and the esports scene should look like potentially in the future if Bandai does decide to go a competitive route like Overwatch, I think we really need to talk about the elephant in the room. And one of the first things I really want to touch upon is the bugs and crashes. Honestly, game optimization as a whole and quality of life changes. Because we all know that Gundam Evolution is a fun game to play, but it only runs at 120 frames, and the frames fluctuate randomly. It's not a very pristine game or smooth game by any stretch of the imagination. On top of that, you have a bunch of bugs and crashes on the Unreal Engine, which is something you really don't want to see in a video game, especially in a competitive, potentially esports game. So, for the bugs and crashes, this needs to be smoothed out. Every game has them, so it's not that big of a deal. The dev team seems competent enough, like they're going to be able to fix it all, but only time will really tell. That being said, there is a major, in my opinion, I think it's kind of a game-breaking bug. But if you were to use Zaku 2 Melee and you use his invincibility, you know, the one where he stands still and he's like super blue, for whatever reason, I'm not exactly sure how to pull it off. I just know I've done it about maybe 2 to 3 times. If you spam your dash button and maybe your mouse clicks, you can actually move around while in the invincibility state, which is, in my opinion, game breaking, especially in a ranked game mode. Just imagine a pro player using that in the esports scene. Bugs like that need to be fixed. The next thing is, I want to see my game run over 240 frames. In Overwatch, it's so easy for me to average 360, 420 frames consistently, even during insane team fights. A game like Gundam needs to be smooth with time. To be fair though, Gundam is a new IP by Bandai. These things happen with new IPs. Overwatch has been around since roughly 2016. So you can't really fault Gundam for not being truly optimized, but if we were to fast forward a year from now, this will truly be unacceptable. I would like to see the game's frame rate raised to 240, ideally within 3 months, because I think that shows progress and it really shows that Bandai as a dev team is competent enough to really pull things off and quite honestly may be a reliable team to fall back on. It seems like they listen to the community. It seems like they understand what they need to fix. When Gundam Evolution came out, there's a lot of crashes, there's a lot of bugs, there was a lot of overpowered characters like Exia, where they slightly nerfed them, just slightly. And the main issue that I think a lot of people were having was, in terms of the competitive scene, was rank. And you were averaging roughly 20 to 30 points per win and losing 20 to 30 per win. But the discrepancies between bronze, silver, gold, and onward was so vast in the numbers that you have to obtain just to rank up, that it was just not impossible, but just it was a grind. You had to play over like 188 games just to get to the highest rank, and that's without losing. And realistically, you're gonna lose in a ranked game mode. So Bandai acknowledged their mistake, they apologized for the mistake, and they reprimanded it by fixing it. So this is where I say that Bandai as a dev team is showing colors of being a competent team, which is a great thing you really want in an esports and a ranked scene. Because if you don't have a dev team that doesn't care, CSGO, not saying that the game is going to die necessarily, because CSGO never really has any major updates, but as you can see, that game is still flourishing. But a game like Gundam needs a really good dev team in order to flourish, because if Overwatch stayed stagnant, I guarantee you it would not be where it's at today. in terms of the loyal fan base that it does have. And that can be argued, but we're not going to go there for this video right now. And moving on, another issue before we can even really get into the nitty-gritty of what a ranked and esports scene may potentially look like, we have the issue of this game, Gundam Evolution, not being released globally. This not only hinders the amount of players you have playing your game worldwide, this also hinders your marketing, this hinders your growth as a game, and it also hinders the amount of competitors that can potentially be playing this game for many, many years. So it's really up to Bandai if they want to play their cards correctly. In order for this game to flourish, which I really, really hope it does, the Gundam series in general is just amazing, from the animes to the movies, soundtracks. It has a cult following, and you know, you got a bunch of people who make figures, and I don't really see this game dying, but I can definitely see this game not living up to its potential, and not living up to its potential is something that I am truly worried about. I know Bandai is already doing it, they're already working on it, they're going to release this game globally, they're going to release it on the consoles, so that's their plan, we all know that. I just hope they're able to do it as quick as possible, and when they do release it to the world, I hope it doesn't have any major crashes like it did on the initial launch. But only time will tell, and so far, I'm optimistic. Hopefully it's not hopium. Now that we got the major issues out of the way, I would say, I think we can finally move on to the rank scene. So, the rank scene in Gundam right now is relatively in a pretty good spot, I like to say. I mean, it's not the worst. There are some metas that are emerging. For example, you have Zazabi and Methus. And honestly, you can just run Methus with really any tank and kind of hyper heal the tank and let the tank try to carry, but primarily is Zazabi right now because that shotgun damage is insane. I believe there's another one with Dom Trooper and Barbados, and there is a third one that I cannot remember for the life of me right now. But I've heard of 3 metas so far, and I believe Dunmere made a video on that. If you guys don't know who Dunmere is, he's been releasing a bunch of Gundam content. Definitely check him out. There's also another meta, which is not really a meta, it's just hyper carrying with Exia. Exia is an insane high skill Gundam, so the better you are with him in terms of raw aim mechanics, the much better you're going to be on a team. But he's definitely a high risk, high reward type of Gundam, so use with caution. So I'm going to use Overwatch 1 as an example. One of the issues that I have before I dive into the Overwatch 1 example is the meta evolving over the next couple of months for Gundam. And one of the issues that I have is I worry that the meta may become stagnant or it may become similar in terms to what happened to Overwatch. So I played a lot of Overwatch 1 when it first came out. I was a big Xbox player. I got top 500. I was grinding that game like the first 3-4 seasons. I was hooked. And I remember the first season of Overwatch, you were able to play the same heroes. And one of the metas that emerged during that time was Zarya, Reaper, and I believe it was either Lucio Mercy or Double Lucio. I can't remember exactly that one. But that meta was toxic. You had double Zaryas bubbling a Reaper that would get in really close range, and then when the Reaper took too much damage, he would wraith away. That was a terrible meta. Blizzard acknowledged that, and they introduced 222, and they got rid of being able to duplicate the same heroes. This came with time, but roughly that's basically what happened across like Season 1, Season 2, Season 3. Blizzard as a company gave less ideas to what the meta really could be in terms of a community meta. This became a game company meta that was set. It became more of a, it has to be this way. If not, you just can't run any meta you want. For example, in League of Legends, you can technically run 580 carries, top, mid, bot, jungle, and support. It's not ideal. You don't want to do that in League of Legends, but it doesn't restrict you. and it becomes something that's free flowing where you can alternate the meta and the meta can shift with time. So my issue is that I worry Gundam may follow in these footsteps and start to restrict the community from doing different things because the meta evolves and they think the game should be played this way. I don't think that's going to happen, but it is a concern that should be raised, and I hope Bandai is smart enough not to restrict the player base to play a certain way, because these type of things are not fun. Another meta that evolved in Overwatch 1 was everybody was running double tank with 2 shields, and Overwatch went from this fast pace FPS that was just so fun and everything was just hectic and you had to break shields and you had to kill tanks and you had healers all over the place, to a game that became more of a shield breaking meta, and it kind of became boring because you're just breaking shields over and over and over until you get a pick, and then you can break another shield and then get another pick, and then, you know, hoping it all goes your way. It just became really, really frustrating because you're just breaking shields at that point. It became a silly meta. That's why in Overwatch 2, it dropped the tank. So basically, I worry that the ranked scene, and honestly just the Gundam scene in general, may potentially be restricted by Bandai, and I don't want to see them go down that same road like Blizzard did, because Blizzard, they had to fix their mistakes and try to improve the gameplay in Overwatch 2. Was actually a good idea. They dropped the tank. They moved Doomfist from attacker to a tank, and a lot of things just became a lot more free-flowing, because now the tanks can actually do a little more damage. They have a little more mobility as a tank. They introduced, what's her name, Junker Queen. She's a much more powerful tank, more powerful than Reinhardt, depending how you look at it, right? But they all have a certain utility, and it kind of made the tank role a little more versatile. The DPS role became a little more versatile. The healer roles became a little more versatile. So it's really nice to see, but they're still stuck with 1 tank, 2 DPS, and 2 healers, unless you're playing a ranked game mode where you can play as different heroes, but the esports scene is restricted. So you kind of see where the issue lies. That's enough of my Overwatch tangent and also rank tangent. Let's transition over to the esports scene and kind of see where my thoughts lie on that. But do keep in mind, this is all speculative. None of this is, facts. I'm just kind of giving my opinion, and just kind of what I would like to see from Gundam, or particularly Bandai as a company, introduce into the Gundam series, or rather Gundam Evolution. And so far, I mean, they have been showing signs of good faith that they know what they're doing. Only time will tell, right? Moving onward. Esports scene should have 3 things that will enable it to grow. And one of these 3 things is, playability. Just being able to replay the game, really enjoy it, maintain a constant player base that enjoys playing the game, and also just have a bunch of great professional players who play this game constantly and don't get tired of it. And so far, at this very moment, Gundam is, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, I think they kind of have that, and hopefully as they improve game optimization, bug fixes, do a couple tweaks with the meta in terms of nerfs and buffs, I think we will see the player base actually grow. And once it gets released globally, and once they release it, to console as well, I think we'll see the player base jump exponentially. Secondly, you want to make sure you have actual spectators, and this kind of ties into what I just said about releasing it globally, having the console players being able to play it, basically really getting the fan base going and really making them enjoy the game. I'm not going to really dive much past that because I already kind of talked about what they need in terms of spectatorship, and that's obvious. You need a fan base in order for people to even care about the esports scene. You need a community. Dev support. The dev needs to be on top of the esports scene if they ever do decide to introduce it into Gundam Evolution. Because if you have a bunch of game-breaking bugs, poor optimization, restricted all around the world. This is a recipe for failure for the esports scene. Other than that, I believe I kind of gave my opinion on a bunch of different points. If you found that I said anything incorrect, or if you just wanted to touch upon my opinion or add to the thought bubble, definitely, write down in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, and I guess subscribe, as a YouTuber would say, right? Other than that, this is going to be Evictus signing off. Peace. Quick note, I'm just going to let the rest of this video ride out. Me and the team, I was solo queuing this ranked match, and we just had some pretty good synergy towards the end. We just completely dominate the second round. And I went off as Unicorn Gundam, so enjoy. Alright, so far so good.
The enemy has begun their assault. Copy that command. We'll stop them.
Intercept as soon as they're in range.
Show us your best work, pilot. Commencing repairs. What was that? Rough shape. Requesting.
I get killed there. Like, I got singled out.
Control of the target area. Fight for control of the target area. You up. Objective contested. Enemy down. From behind me. Fight for control of the target area. Enemy down. Reloading. Not responding. Armor. Providing combat support. Looks like they know where we are. Enemy crawler defeated. Can't take much more. Target range. Objective B. They found our location.
Over here.
Sorry. You have to take it from here. I've got your back. Capturing objective B. We've captured objective B. Taking the area. I'll fix you up. Area contested. Maneuver online. Not good. Maneuver active. Area contested. Requesting support. Found our location. Just getting warmed up. Fight for control of the target area. The entire enemy squad has been annihilated. That seemed a little too easy. Your teammates' performance is exceptional. Providing combat support. Back to fighting.
Hostile G-force detected.
3 minutes remaining. Starting to objective A. Enemy down. In rough shape. Requesting support. Here to help.
G-force is ready to activate. Over here.
Active A. Now for the counterattack.
Damn. I don't know what happened to this team, but we just got it into a groove.
These guys never stood a chance. Commencing repair. No going easy. All right, girl. Let's go. Now entering.
Let's go.
Victory is ours! Hey, we pulled it off after all.
Camaraderie. Just tell me where the next fight is.
Oh, I'm good at this unicorn apparently. Sheesh. Oh my god.